Ashrita, our mental health department head. And Ashrita is a name we all know, not much that I have to tell you about. Ashrita Karipineni is an experienced psychologist who has been actively practicing for the past 8 years. Her professional background encompasses working with diverse client population, including those with neurodiverse background and individuals from the mainstream communities who face behavioral, emotional, anxiety, and developmental challenges. Her career journey began as a clinical trainee at Kasturba Medical College and Venlock District Hospital, where she was responsible for diagnosing conditions and implementing therapeutic interventions for patients. Subsequently, she transitioned into a role as an applied behavior analysis therapist, that's ABA, specializing in providing support to children and teenagers dealing with autism and various neurodevelopmental disorders. Following this, Ashita served as a special educator for 3 years, during which she gained valuable experience in designing and implementing academic and vocational training curriculum. She's also spent 2 years mentoring other special educators in their professional development. Additionally, she held a leadership position as the head of the Research and Vocational Department of the Eka Educational and Charitable Trust. Currently, Ashrita is the leader of the emotional wellness program at Health Basics. In this role, her daily responsibilities include overseeing counselors and special educators working within Health Basics, as well as implementing a comprehensive social emotional curriculum to benefit clients and promote emotional well being. She is one calm person who is very patient, and she knows how to handle anybody and everybody. She has a solution for all problems. Trust me. My personal experience.
Thank you so
Welcome, Ashrita.
thank you
Love
so
to,
much for
love
your
to have you to conduct the webinar.
thank you for your super kind words, Shraddha. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for participating in our series of workshops that we hold every month. So today's topic is on building resilience and regulation skills in children who are feeling distraught or who feel mostly directionless or who kind of need assistance in managing themselves. So we are not focusing on different techniques, but rather how we can recognize the behaviors and the signs that a child requires help, and from scratch, how we can build different emotional skills in children. Shraddha, I need your help. Just let me know if my screen is in. Uh, One second. If you're able to see from beginning or not. Uh, I'm just sharing my screen. Is it visible full screen, Shraddha?
Yeah, it is visible, Ashrita.
Okay, thank you. So, good evening, everyone. Like, we are covering a very core and a very important topic for a lot of children who are, seeking assistance with regulating and channelizing their emotions, and how we can build emotional resilience in children. Is there somebody with any questions? Okay.
We are unable to see the screen, ma'am.
You're unable to see.
Yeah,
How many of you can see the screen? Please raise your hand. So there are almost 18 of you who can see the screen, correct? Yes. Ma'am, how did you log in? Did you log in from your mobile or your laptop?
from mobile, ma'am.
From mobile, it might be difficult.
Oh,
Maybe
okay, okay, ma'am. I'll
like
try to correct.
shifting from left to right, you may
Yes,
be able to see the screen.
yes, yes, yes. Thank you.
Okay. So today we are going to basically learn on foundations on what are emotions, how we can regulate them, the importance and techniques on building this resilience and regulation, and how we can self advocate regulation as adults for children. Uh, so before we even begin with talking about emotions, I would like to introduce you all to a very, very important person who has dedicated his life and his entire career towards researching on feelings and emotions. For those of you who don't know, his name is Paul Ekman. Paul Ekman has been a pioneer in studying human emotions and human feelings. He was also a very significant researcher who has helped us understand that emotions and feelings are very different from each other, and more often so they are, exchanged and interchanged as verbs or adjectives to describe a feeling. And what he believed was Paul Ekman was not an ordinary researcher. He was a man who went back to in time. He traveled back to when human race was found, and he studied evolutionary psychology. And at that time, while he was studying human psychology, in the perspective of evolutionary development, from the time when people from the time when we evolved from mammals and we started becoming gatherers and we started living in a settlement, he found out that emotions were a core part that distinguished us from a lot of living beings back then. The recognition, the existence, and the way we expressed emotions was something that has set us apart from uh, mammals or living organisms of that time. And he also found out that emotions are a huge integral part of our human development. At the time when a child is born, any infant that is born today is born with one emotion, which is fear. While they are born with a lot of skills, abilities, and more importantly, they're born with recognizing food. They are built or they are born with the ability to express that they're hungry or they need any help from the parents. They also are born with this emotion called fear. So fear is a very important and a crucial feeling, or sorry, emotion, because fear brings awareness. It helps us stay focused on what is required, what is important, and protects us more importantly from the dangers. So, for example, if there is a small child, a small baby who doesn't really understand uh, the difference between hot object and a cold object, so when the child doesn't have this understanding, he or she is more likely to go and pick up a object which could be either hot or cold. But only it is the fear response that brings the awareness to the child that it is a hot object. If I touch it, I am going to burn my skin, and that becomes a protective mechanism for the child. So now the child is automatically moving towards the cold object. So the child stays on the path of I do not have to mess around with things that will hurt me. And that is exactly how a fear emotion is born. So, as the fear emotion is something that's built in with us, he also recognized other feelings that are, born along with it. Now, the next one is happiness, sadness, disgust, surprise, and no feelings. These six emotions are highly universal and he has conducted extensive study to actually detect them. Now, if you can see in the image over here, they are using expressions either with their mouth closed or with their mouth open. Over here, you can see the lady is clearly sad despite her mouth being closed. That's because we're able to read the eyebrows and the sadness in her eyes. This is exactly the process Paul Ekman has used to create an awareness on how we are able to show and interpret feelings and emotions in others. So, what exactly is emotional regulation? If you can see the image over here, it all starts with apathy. Apathy is another word is no feelings or being very neutral. So it all begins with apathy when there is suddenly a sense of love or a feeling of bond or there is a feeling of attachment, appreciation that becomes an attachment. Once when there is an attachment that is formed towards an object or a person, it goes into compassion. Compassion here is nothing but having honest feelings for the other person. Then it moves to sentimentality. Sentiment means you're assigning feelings here. Am I happy? Am I sad? Am I joyous? And then it moves to elation. And then there is a peace or equanimity that is found. Now, if there is a disturbance in equanimity, again it goes back to apathy. So, this is the entire cycle of a positive emotional regulation that is expected. Now, what exactly is emotional regulation? It is nothing but the ability to put in control over our emotional state. Whenever we are able to hold on, have a control, have a thought before acting out on that feeling. For example, there is a man on a railway station who just found out that he may not pass his UPSC examination. UPSC exams are a very, very big deal. Now, on the railway platform, while he's traveling back home, he gets the results on his phone. He has not cleared his UPSC exam. Now, in this situation where you are in public, where you are in front of everybody, how can we show the feeling of extreme dejection and sadness? So, the ability to hold back those tears, the ability to contain oneself from expressing the rejection and dejection is called emotional regulation. It is okay if there are a tear or two. It is okay if the man is, not very excited about, showing a happy face or maintaining that calm over the face. But it is not okay to scream, shout, yell, or howl in the railway station. It does not look good. It does not a social response. So the emotional regulation is nothing but how aware we are in the social capacity to be able to handle our emotions and control our emotions. Now, to even begin with regulating our emotion, we should identify what emotion we are feeling. Are we sad? Are we happy? Are we afraid? Are we disgusted? Is it a surprise? Is it anger? So we need to identify these emotions and differentiate it with the feeling. Now, the difference between emotion and a feeling is that an emotion is an internal state. It is very, very organic and true to a human being. Whereas a feeling is a label that we assign to a situation. Feelings can be very fleeting. For example, now let us talk about going out for a walk and having an ice cream. The entire feeling is a good feeling. You're going out for a walk, You there is cold air blowing, and you go have a nice ice cream. You come back from the work, you go say good night to your family, you go to sleep. It's a very good feeling. So the entire experience, you label it as a good feeling, a bad feeling, or a okay feeling. Whereas the emotion, the reason why you went out for a walk, because I feel happy, I feel very relaxed. So the internally, there is a feeling of happiness. There is a emotion of calmness that has prompted you to go for a walk. Now, once you've gone out for a walk, there is another prompt that has required you to assign a finality to this emotion or finality to this happiness. So you go ahead and have an ice cream. And this is the difference between an emotion and a feeling. Now, once the differentiation has happened, why now let's take the example of the UPSC exam. Now, why did I feel bad? Is it because I am supposed to feel bad that I have failed in the exam? That is a feeling. Versus I have worked extremely hard for this, and I have given up a lot for studying and preparing for this exam, and I'm not able to clear it, which is a emotion. Then we try to reason out the emotion. Why is the emotion surfacing? Is the emotion surfacing because I am not a failure? I can never fail an exam? Or is it because I am not sure what went wrong? I was very confident. I had studied a lot. I was not supposed to fail. So that could be even a surprise. It could be a final shock, like how did I fail? Right? It could be a grief. I have put in so many hours. I'm not able to pass the exam. There is no end to this trauma of not being able to clear while my friends have cleared. What will I tell my family that I again failed UPSC exam? So there could be a grief as an emotion. So then after that we need to check, where am I? Is it okay for me to scream and yell in a public station? So, how do I share my thoughts on emotion? So, even if that man has slight tears, is made a sullen or a long face, not in a mood to talk to anyone, it is okay because it's an appropriate response to the event that has happened. But what is not appropriate? Throwing a tantrum, running around, screaming at the phone, yelling at parents or relatives that I failed again, I don't like this, right? And then whom can I trust to share these feelings? When I'm able to share my feelings, who am I able, emotions, who am I able to share these emotions with? So, emotional regulation contains these six essential questions. Like, how do I identify what I'm feeling or what my emotions are? Is it a feeling or an emotion? Why is the emotion coming out? Can I share it in front of everyone? Right? And then, whom do I trust and share the emotions with? So, why focus? Why do we have to emotionally regulate? What will happen if we don't emotionally regulate? Who is making these rules? So, emotional regulation is very, very important because children today are heavily exposed to information. They are exposed to a lot of content, whether it is in person, whether it is in the textbooks, whether it is a conversation between friends, whether it is on a YouTube channel or anywhere on social media platform. Children are not able to hold on to a set pace. Everything around them is moving fast. And like always, they are hyper curious to learn things around them. So the basic social skills that are taught to the children, for example, smile and say hi, hello, basic greetings to the teachers and classmates, or helping and sharing things with their classmates or their neighbors or their friends may not be enough social skills. Children today need to learn how to recognize their internal emotions. They are required to recognize what situation may call for what emotion, to help them mentally prepare in advance. And more importantly, they need to understand that there are a lot of influences they have around them. For example, lack of positive communication with parents. If parents are extremely busy, they don't have time to spend quality time. I'm not talking about studies, I'm not talking about homework, I am not talking about worrying about the future exams. I'm talking about the time the parent has to spend with the child apart from that routine and schedule. What was the child's interest? What does the child like to do? Do they have any meaningful rituals or games that they like to play? What about peer pressures? How is the child relating with their neighbors' children or their classmates or the school environment? Is the child curious about any topic or about any event that their classmates or friends are doing, which could possibly be peer pressure? What about social media? What are the children? What are they watching? Whom are they following on? Different platforms. Are any of these people they're following safe or not? There are so many uncertainties. Parents and teachers have to question, and they cannot help but wonder for the child. And what happens is, when these uncertainties are there with the parents and the teachers' minds, when social skills are very, very limited to a child, where only basic essential skills are taught, but not how to think fast, how to respond and negotiate in a tough situation, how to maneuver between saying no and still being friends with their classmates. There are so many uncertainties children go through. This is where emotional regulation fits in, the resilience fits in, where children will need to recognize their own internal emotions and, first of all, distinguish it from the feelings of the environment. Am I feeling sad because I'm missing out on something? Or am I sad because I want to have fun? A very recent example for this could be the Coldplay concert. I'm sure some of you would have heard that, there's a huge band coming in Coldplay, whether we've heard them or not. And more than adults, it is like the teenagers and, young children who are very excited to go participate in the concert, who are very curious to learn about this band that is coming all the way to India. And now imagine some of them are going and some of them are not going. Obviously, there will be tantrums at home. There will be, a disappointment. So this is a good opportunity to help the child explore. Why are they sad? Are they sad because they're missing out on the concert and spending time with friends? Or are they really sad because they genuinely wanted to go for the concert, have a good time listening to the music, or they're fans of the band and they're finally getting to see the band? So this distinguishes their emotions and feelings. Now, if we're still relaxed about teaching emotional regulation to children, if it is still not in the core, responsibility of a teacher or a parent to not teach regulation, it leads to psychiatric issues or a subpsychiatric issues. I wouldn't say a full-blown psychiatric problems, because they do take time and a lot of resilience to be broken to develop. But some psychiatric issues could be, first and foremost, lack of accountability. Lack of accountability can start in small, small things. Like, where is your pencil box? I don't know, I forgot. Where is your lunch box? I left it in the school, I'll bring it tomorrow. Where is your math notebooks? Oh, my friend has it, I will bring it later. What happened in the school today? Nothing. Teachers have not done anything. I don't know what they did. This is how lack of accountability looks like in children. Now, once if we let go of this lack of accountability, it builds up and builds up and builds up where they cannot make decisions in the future. And they'll depend on either the parents or their friends to make decisions for them. And more importantly, they will not be understanding the effort and time it takes to following through a task. So it will be half task or half assignment done, it will be half project that is done. Why should I bother doing it? It's not interesting, I don't care. So this, they will rely only on motivation and only on social praise to complete it. So this is called lack of accountability that will develop if we don't teach emotional regulation. The next is jumping to conclusion. Now, if the child has tendencies of anxiousness, restlessness, if the child is a fearful child, they will automatically jump to the worst conclusions for any uncertainty. So, for example, if the child has not studied a few chapters in math for his half yearly exams, and most of the paper comes from those few chapters only, how will the child feel? The child will get scared because now he has seen that the chapters he has missed out, those chapters only have the questions are coming from those chapters. Now the child will automatically jump to conclusions saying that I don't know how to go about this. I am not sure how to deal with this. The next is aggressive response. Aggressive response could be hitting someone, beating up other children, rudely responding to the teachers and parents, shouting, raising voice, commanding, demanding from parents and teachers, gaslighting their classmates, showing tendencies of bullying. All these are symptoms of all these are signs of aggression. And the last and the easiest one to predict is impulsivity. Now, if you don't regulate the emotions of a child, they will fall back onto the first response that comes to their mind. Why should I study? I don't want to study. I want to play. Playing is more better than studying. My own teacher only told we should get physical exercise. Why do you want me to study? All the time you're asking me to study. I will not study. So, this is nothing but an impulsive response. So they are resenting the task they have to do, and that resentment will come back as a backlash to the parents and teachers. Now, if it is not a psychiatric issue, it could also be a social challenge where children will find it very difficult to make meaningful friendships. They will have a difficulty in building long lasting friendships with others because accountability in friendship is also important. Calling back friends, checking on them if they're okay or not, going out and making plans and sticking to those plans, helping out one another. If one friend is crying, being a shoulder and supporting the friend. Now, if the friend is also is upset, and if the child is also upset along with the friend, who is supporting who at that point? And that is where friendships will begin to break. Now, if friendships are also there, it might be difficult to relate with others. So, if their friends come and talk to the child asking for empathy, the child may be having difficulty with empathizing because the child doesn't understand his or her own emotions and feelings. When we don't understand our own emotions, how can we fit into other people's shoes? And then there will be regression in communication skill. Why will there be a regression? Because they are already having difficulty making friends, they already have a difficulty talking to people of their own age, of spending time with people of their own age. They don't understand how to build conversations, how to make friends, how to have a tolerable conversation with the other child or the other person. So their communication skills will weaken and weaken over time. And personally, they begin to isolate themselves from others, listening to music, locking up in the room and sitting, constantly doodling and escaping work, loneliness, having fixed beliefs that nobody wants to be friends with them, not being able to spend time with the with others. So loneliness also builds up. And if this doesn't get sorted out, if this is not identified early or regulated early, then they begin to have identity crisis as they grow up. They start tying their self worth, self respect, self esteem to their work, their contribution to the household financially, and the kind of impact they're making with their skills, because they never had friendships, because they never had accountability. Now as adults, when they're learning this, they tie up their self-esteem, self-respect, everything to their work or any one other aspect of their life. And this is where the identity crisis begins, and the core question comes to ponder: who am I? And what am I doing and bringing to the table? And no child or teenager as young as, 17 or 18 should also be questioning these core areas. These are the questions that should come as people grow older and start working and contributing to the society. But when we teach children how to regulate their emotions and feelings, a complete opposite skill, evolution happens in their cognitive and their emotional mindset. What happens is children will start expecting that their feelings will have or emotions will have a response. They will start realizing that if I share my emotions neatly and correctly, I will get some or the other response. Either the parent or the teacher will empathize with me, or they may offer a solution. So, what happens here? The child will get reinforced. The child will learn that it is okay for me to share my emotions. It is okay for me to talk about my problems and challenges rather than keeping it in within myself. Now, as adults, we know that if a child is shouting or screaming or raising voice or hitting adults or other students, it is an intolerable regulation or response to a emotion. But healthy responses or healthy children do not show emotions in by hitting or by screaming or shouting. They talk about their feelings. They directly communicate about their emotions. They try to label, or they ask the parent or the teacher on helping them label or identifying the emotion. So, what happens is indirectly they're seeking for assistance. Either they want empathy or they want a solution to their challenges. So now, once both of either of them is given to the child, they realize that they have an option of feeling free from the burden of you know engaging in that negative emotion, and then they start opening up and talking about their thoughts and emotions. Now, when a child learns emotional regulation and is exercising that emotional regulation, they develop adaptive functioning. Adaptive functioning is a very core area that has to be learned by the child as at an earlier stage. Adaptive functioning is, as you keep growing older, the expectations from you will change, The surroundings and the circumstances around you will change. For example, when an infant is crying, we pamper the infant either by changing their diapers or feeding them food or formula, or we rock them to go to sleep, or massage them so their muscles and body is relaxed. But as the child is crawling and starts to walk, we start teaching the child more independent skills on eating by themselves, on holding cutlery, on learning how to wear shoes or wear socks, like pulling activities we start teaching. So as the child grows older, the surrounding and expectations around the child changes. Now once the child has started talking, walking, uh, eating by self, we start focusing on the academic success of the child. We start focusing on the social relationships the child is building around themselves. So, like as the child keeps growing, we have different expectations from them, and these adaptive functioning can only be successful where they have a healthy social life, they have strong physical mental capacity, they have very strong language, and they're able to manage their daily tasks or schedule only when they have healthy emotional regulation. And more importantly, uh, when the child is in school, they have a perfect relationship or a happy relationship with their teachers because they're able to identify their emotions and feelings. They're able to discuss their challenges. They're able to live up to the teacher's expectations by holding themselves accountable, by understanding that they themselves need to make the effort to make things happen. And when they do it in a positive tone and in a functional tone, it is very easy for the teacher also to build that bond with the children, and that is how they build a very very healthy relationship with their teachers, and this directly impacts their education quality. You will see these children getting really high scores in their exams. They're cognitively very engaged. Their memory is very sharp. Their attention skills are unmatched. Nothing bothers them at that point. Why? Because they have understood that they have to meet with the teacher's expectations. Now comes the most important part. How can we teach the regulation of emotions? Now, to teach regulation of emotions in children, it is very, very important to understand that we recognize the behaviors that require regulation in the first place. So it's very simple. Why will we, touch something that doesn't need to be touched? Why would we make a child sad or make them cry when they're giggling and laughing? So, when we talk about regulation of emotions, usually something is disturbing them or holding them back from feeling safe and content or happy. So, the reasons are following. These are the five very, very common reasons. So, the first one is tantrums, failure, the lack of direction, poor schedules, and isolation. Please understand, when I talk about tantrums, tantrums thrown by the children are for many, many reasons. Either they want something, or they are avoiding a situation, or more importantly, they want to get their own way. They want to make a decision, say what they want to have for dinner. If the parents say that we need to eat at home, but the child wants to eat outside, the child may throw tantrums. If the child says that I want a toy, but parents have told like you already have enough toys, the child will throw a tantrum. If the child doesn't want to go for swimming classes, but the parent is forcefully sending the child for swimming. The child will again throw tantrums. So it's very easy, important to recognize the reason why the child is throwing tantrums. But again, tantrums are very deliberate, they are very planned, and they always have a cause and effect. No tantrum is thrown without a thought. Every tantrum is, most of the tantrums are planned, and they're executed so well by the child that they know if they throw a tantrum, things will fall in their way. And it is the easiest way out because they have been crying previously and parents have listened. So they carry forward that same intention in the future. So tantrums are very, very predictable and almost have the same tone and offset. But every tantrum will have a similar response because it is an attention seeking behavior, because it is negative in the environment and it might be hurtful to the child and socially unacceptable. Do not give any attention to those tantrums. Looking at the child by maintaining eye contact, telling the child stop crying, consoling the child, why are you crying? Please don't cry. I will give you a chocolate if you stop crying now. Asking the child, when will you stop crying? Making bargain deals and negotiations. These are all the things that give attention to the tantrum. The more attention we give, the more tantrum the child will throw. If not, then in the future he will continue to, or she will continue to do it repeatedly because they are getting away with it. So do not give any attention. If the child is raising voice or running around, throwing toys here and there, step away. Let the child finish throwing the tantrum. It is okay to throw a tantrum and having the points put across. They will only get up and they will only come to you. Why? Because you are the one giving attention. The whole purpose to throw a tantrum is to get attention. So when you're not giving attention, they will get up and go back and seek the same attention. Now, once they are settled, once they have reduced throwing tantrums, very simply go and say, I cannot understand all this. I only understand words. If you need anything, please use words. These are this is the only thing that is required to be said. Why this works is because it gives the direction to the child. When you say, I cannot understand this behavior, I don't understand tantrums. What do you understand? Only words. And if you need anything or if you want anything, use your kind words and express. So, this is where, if you see in the back, a lot of children develop an expectation, and that is because they are more likely to express and share their emotions. Now, why are they able to openly express and share? Because they have an audience to listen to them and understand the problems. So in tantrums, a child is throwing because they feel that if they don't throw a tantrum, they'll not get their way. So tantrum is the last resort or the immediate resort that they will look at. But once if you say, I need you to use your words, let us talk using words, you are telling them that you are ready to give them attention and you're ready to respond to the words. So that is where the child will realize and recognize that I need to use words and not throw a tantrum. This is a tried and tested method. I am not saying this will work immediately, or I am not saying this will take a lot of time. Different children have different rates of responding to this technique. But most children respond to this. And it is imperative that we don't give attention, but rather ask the child on how they can express the wants and emotions. Now, next thing, another important area is failure. Failure is a very personal feeling for the child. They may be highly confused and unsure on what is going on in their mind. They may be dejected, they may contemplate if they should try again or not. They will look for reinforcement and validation for their hard work. So, that is where it is very important to address this with a lot of empathy and emotional maturity. When the child is failing, instead of punishing the child or shaming the child, allow them to feel their feelings. It's okay. However they're feeling, if they're confused, if they're surprised, if they're angry, if they're extremely sad, whatever emotions they're feeling, let them have it. Once they're able to sit with their feeling emotions or their feelings, help the child recognize those emotions. Tell them, please put a label or tell me what emotion are you feeling. If the child is not able to put a label, give them two options. Am I happy or am I unhappy? If the child chooses unhappy, based on the expression of the child, again pick options. Am I sad or am I angry? If the child chooses angry, then you ask the child to assign the emotion, assign the emotion only if it is angry, or if it is irritation or discomfort as a feeling. Now, this is the step by step process in which you will ask the child to label their emotions and assign a semantic thought to it. Now, once a feeling is settled in, ask them to be aware of the bodily process. Is their heart beating fast? Are they sweating? Are they having a dry mouth? Are they feeling jittery or shaky hands and legs? Are they feeling uncomfortable? Are they feeling cold or hot? Ask them what bodily feelings they have or responses they have. Then slowly make them realize that this bodily reactions are a part of their emotions. It has nothing to do separately. Once they are calm from inside, they will automatically settle down in their physical processes. Now, how do you calm the child internally? The easiest method is to breathing exercises. Ask the child to breathe. Inhale for 5 seconds, hold for 5 seconds, and exhale for 10 seconds. If the breathing exercise is not working, ask the child to scribble or express it on the white sheet of paper with crayons or colors. If that activity is also not helping the child, take them for a walk. Ask the child to physically relax their mind by taking them out for a walk, holding their hands, hugging the child, rubbing their back. These are some of the many ways we can calm the child down. Now, once the child is calm, settled, has maintained composure, teach them these activities on how they can do it again the next time they are feeling dejected, on how they can contain themselves when they experience failure again. Then, once the child is completely settled, adjusted, relaxed, ask the child, do you want to take a break or do you want to try again? Because we need to teach the child how to follow through. Now, there is also lack of direction. Now, lack of direction will always create a lot of confusion, a lot of restlessness, a lot of lack of clarity in their mind. Once there is lack of clarity that has settled in, they want to escape that uh, experience. They want to know what their end goal or their final task is. And that is where it is very important to handhold the child and ask them to assign an emotion and a feeling. Again, once we are gone through the whole, adjusting to their bodily processes, it is very important that we start giving them micro goals or small directions, because the child will realize that it is the small steps that will help them realize what is their end goal or their final goal. For example, if there is a final exam that is happening in the month of March, and it is like say now September that the child is in, the child is not opening books, the child has no interest in studies, does not want to look at their academics. Why? All the exams are over. Only one final exam is remaining. Subjects are over, syllabus is over, portion is over, teachers are only revising. What, I'll revise till February, I don't need to study, is the mindset the child has. Now there is no direction and focus on the end goal, which is the March exams. So it is very important to have a weekly test, monthly assessments, tests in the groups, in the classes, to check their recalling and memory skills. Now, what happens when we put these small goals in between? The child automatically guides and directs the mind to get their full marks or their higher grades in the final exam. So, this is an example of lack of direction. Now, if the child has a very poor schedule, we should be very realistic and realize that children cannot make their own schedules. Their whole life they've been told from the time they wake up in the morning what to eat, what to wear, where to go to school, what to study, and they come back. They go for their tuitions or the extracurriculars, and they have that half an hour, 1 hour time with the family, and they go back to sleep. Now, when the schedule is poor and disorganized, the child will also be disorganized and have a very chaotic behavior. Chaotic behavior they will look like irritation, impulsive decisions, recklessly doing whatever the child wants to do, no cohesion of time and space. They will also be highly irritable, angry, agitated over small things. So why? Because the child doesn't have a proper structure to the day. They feel they are being held back. They start having very difficult emotions that is hard for them to process. Now, when we know the challenge is because of a schedule, in this case, asking the child to sit with their emotions is not going to help. The child needs to first realize that they need to have small goals. They need to have tasks at hands. The first half of the task is something they would like to do, and then the remaining tasks will be mandatory or important tasks they can't avoid. Now, when you negotiate and prepare a schedule in this manner, slowly you can fix. Sorry, you can fix a schedule where the child has a goal, one goal that they like to do, and one goal which is mandatory. Finally, when they're settling in this routine, you can then ask the child to take responsibility for their own schedule, because now they know what is important and what is not important. And then you will ask the child, how are you feeling? Are you going through any difficulties? Do you have any deeper emotion that needs to be addressed? So this is the way to handle a child or a teenager who has a very improper schedule. And the last is isolation. A child will feel isolated if they are being bullied, if they are being neglected by their classmates, if they are not feeling that they are part of a community. Could be in the class, could be with their neighbors, could be at home, could be anywhere actually, could be even in the school bus. So here we need to recognize and accept that the child will have a negative mindset or not have a very Positive approach to social situations. The child may feel dejected. He or she may be feeling rejected all the time. They may feel an emotion of sadness and overwhelmation. They may not feel comfortable going outside and interacting with others. In this situation, social skills training from beginning is very important. By teaching them basic greetings, how to help a friend, how to take proactive steps in the classroom, how to help out their teachers in the class, what are the kind and polite words to use, what are the unfriendly words to avoid in a social setting. When we teach these specific small goals, either through stories or either through role playing, it gives the child the confidence to take the first step. Now, once the child takes the first step, we can act on the situation as it comes with the child. If the child is easily settled in, they don't need any intervention. But if the child is struggling at every stage, say the child has now spoken to his classmates but is unable to be a part of the group, then how do you handle this? So it's important for the child to learn that not every group will accept a new person. He or she can form their own group based on their interests by starting a drama club or a new club in the school, or by engaging in sports, or by taking up any extracurriculars where they can find a new interest. So here they need maximum guidance and maximum support behaviorally, socially, and emotionally to navigate their school and the home environment. So, with this being said, I conclude my presentation. Thank you, everyone. Does anyone have any questions? Ma'am, how it all can be practiced with kids who are neurodivergent? Is Rashmi here?
Yes, I'm here. I'm very much here, ma'am.
Okay, so Rashmi, when we do talk about neurodivergent children, we need to understand in specific what is their core challenge that they're facing. Is it in their communication skills? Communication as in uh, basic expression. Thank you, Miss Pooja. Basic expression in terms of uh, are they able to understand words? Are they able to say hi? Are they able to form sentences? If there is a sentence formation, basic comprehension present, then they need to understand what is the core next challenge. That is, are they able to identify different social situations? Are they able to recognize that different social situations will have different expectations from them? For example, at a temple, the child is expected to be quiet, to be very sober, to build a basic discipline of standing in the line, to use a very low volume to speak to others, to focus on the prayers, versus a child in school. The child in school is expected to be proactive, talk and interact with their classmates, respond and reply to the teachers with commitment. So there are so many things that need to be addressed and understood first, Rashmi. So we have to divide their expectations. We have to divide the skill sets and bits into small goals, like a checklist, and make sure where the challenge lies at. And next thing is, once we have identified, we can build social skills training where we take the child in the environment. We make the child practice with us on different situations. For example, taking them to grocery store, taking them to the post office, taking them to hospitals, to the malls, engaging with the employees and the staff over there. So this is the way they will start building confidence in social communication. And then we can slowly generalize their learnings in the school environment. I hope I was able to answer Rashmi.
Yes, but the problem, the challenge that I face with these, actually, the people I work with, they are not kids, in fact, they are young adults. The problem that I face is consistency of behavior. Sometimes, like, they will totally understand and they will behave accordingly, but another day they will be totally withdrawn or totally ignorant of what is expected from them. So, how can I work for that?
They can speak with everyone. Do they have any difficulties in speech?
Some of them are non-verbal, ma'am. They are not able to express or not able to like speak much.
But do they know sign language?
Yeah, some of them know.
Some of them know, some of them are learning, is it?
Yes,
Okay. So when a child is having, like young adults or teenagers are having a bad day and they don't want to disclose or have any work on it, it's okay, Rashmi, because they are also trying to regulate themselves. It is better to, evaluate internally and express when they're comfortable versus, seeking negative attention from others. Usually, we have noticed that when there are young adults, especially who are, above 15, 16 years of age, when they have a bad day and they're usually quiet, the best way to get them out of the shell is to use a neutral activity or to give them any non-triggering or a non-responsive activity like sorting, building blocks, or a cooperative activity where they're, painting with each other, or they are, getting their hands on experience in some activity that doesn't require any expectations and doesn't require any thought processes. It's just an activity to help them calm down and regulate. What happens is, over some time they start uh, opening up. They start talking about their day. This has helped children a lot, Rashmi. Maybe this is something you can try once.
thank you so much,
Don't,
ma'am. Thank you so much for
yeah,
the.
don't talk about why are they upset or angry. Just give them a
Yes,
cooperative activity like a puzzle or something to solve. And let them find their solace through that.
okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rashmi. Yes, Mr. Sinu. Hi. Hi, Pooja.
Hi, Shweta. So I had a question. So I'm a psychologist as well as a teacher. I take psychology classes.
Okay.
So I I deal with adolescents in my day-to-day life, and we were talking about accountability, right? So I wanted to talk about a child specifically that I have been a little bothered recently about. So these children usually come from a very well-off family, so they have been provided with whatever they want, and there is no need to wait or any need to compromise. So that accountability and responsibility is lacking. Okay, and because they're coming from a business family, they have this sense that how to deal with whom, but that is more on a very selfish side, and that is reflected in their attitude towards people around them, be it towards teachers or towards friends. Right. So I wanted to understand what can we do in these situations. For example, it's a 12th grade. So what can be
Okay.
done with teenagers in those situations to build accountability as a school? And just a heads up that not a lot of support is going to be provided from the home side.
Parents side, yes. Pooja,
Yes.
what you
Yeah.
asked is a very, very important and relevant question. I'm very sorry. Did you want to add anything else? I interrupted you.
No, no, it's fine. I just wanted to add up into, why there is no support from the parents' end because maybe, the parents don't get along. So the child has found his own way of dealing with both the parents separately. So the child is using that, separation, and is not getting affected. Of course, it might be on a subconscious level, but knows how to, make his way through that
True.
separation. Yeah. So how to build that accountability in, children like that?
Correct, Pooja. What you've asked is a very, very relevant question because I think a lot of psychologists and teachers in schools in Tier 1 cities are going through this challenge. So first thing is, Pooja, a lot of these kids don't have any accountability is because, or they rather are not showing accountability is because nobody's setting that expectations from them.
Mm,
So,
right.
one thing is that parents are giving everything to them, and there is nobody who is giving a no or holding them back from anything. So they feel like the world's there at their hand, and they can get away with most things. So, Pooja, I would like to suggest that keeping their background aside and not giving attention to where they're coming from, or even acknowledging the fact where they're coming from, uh, and raising expectations from them, like talking to them on a guidance standpoint, because guidance is the core issue I think in this child especially that is missing. Both parents are not interacting with each other, and there is a core miscommunication between all three of them, which is why the child is manipulating and maneuvering his way through the parents. And I think that is getting highly reinforced at home, which is how he's taking it at home as in the school as well. In this situation, especially for this young man, it is very important that we hold on a guidance standpoint, because in the future he is only going to look for guidance and support. He is not going to look for somebody showing him that core affection or that core feelings of likeliness, because that is something missing, and that is something that is very very much required when you hold someone accountable. So guidance in the sense, Pooja, what can be done is to tell this young man or in the classroom in general that whenever it is my class, start small. Like whenever it is my class, I expect you all to be up to date with your notes. I do not expect you all to leave things hanging, and this is not the tone and uh, you know uh, an expectation I set in my class at least. You are Pooja ma'am students, and Pooja ma'am has this, high standards, and I expect you all to kind of live up to these expectations. It's not a lot to ask from you all. Begin like this with them. They will have challenges and issues with trying to test you. They will try to annoy you by saying you're nobody, or they may try to say harsh or mean things, but do not give attention to any of that. Set your expectations straight and ask them to follow through that. And then you slowly start talking about what kind of an environment you would like to see in your class. I want you all to respectfully talk to each other. I don't understand these rude words and mean words that you're using towards each other. That is not the way to, that is not the standard or expectation I'm setting. I don't really understand why it is required. I don't understand where it is coming from. But what I understand is, respecting each other and showing affection towards each other. Keep reinforcing this, Puja. What happens is they will start segregating you from other teachers and realize that they're getting positive reinforcement from you, and they will try to seek that from the other teachers as well, and then they will start regulating by themselves.
Okay.
If you
That sounds fair.
yeah, if you lecture them or teach them directly, they'll not
Right.
listen.
That doesn't work. Never, never. That doesn't work, especially with adolescents.
Adolescents, correct. So raising
Right.
expect this came from my personal experience when I was a very very new special educator. I had two students with me. Barely both of them were verbal, and they did not speak a word of English when I was with them. and I would get death threats from one of the boy every day, like I will kill
Okay.
you, I will kill you. So I didn't give attention to any of it. I was like, we'll talk about it later, but you're in Ashrita ma'am's class, and Ashrita ma'am wants things to be done this way. They had difficulties 1 month, 2 months, but by third
Hmm.
month they were not only speaking English, they were preparing for the NIOS exams in English. And by
Okay.
end of the year, end of 2 years they graduated with psychology. They gave English exam. They gave business studies exam. And these were two kids who couldn't speak a word in English when they were with me. So when you raise these expectations and stick to them, things fall in place on their own, because children understand discipline, children understand routine, and they understand how to follow an expectation and to seek validation from their mentors or their educators. And at that point, you don't become a teacher, you become their mentor.
Hmm.
And when you start using polite words, kind words to them and stick to that, this is not how I say, this is not what I did. Why are we, using these words? I don't understand these harsh words. This is too cruel. Like, let's use less harmful words. When constantly we redirect them and, make them realize they're being mean, somewhere or the other it starts clicking to them.
Right.
So I hope I
Right.
was
That
able
answers.
to.
Thank you so much. Really, really. Thank you so much. That was helpful.
Thank you, Pooja. Is there anyone else with any questions? Yes, Pur Kodiel.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am.
Good
I'm a
evening.
math teacher from Chennai. Basically for math, actually I'm handling high school and higher secondary children. For basically math, we need to follow the children to be cleared with their notes, right? So the basic thing is notes preparation, and the classroom notes they want to copy from the classroom, whatever being taught for each and every chapter. So, here I'm facing difficulty with the children wherein they are not ready to complete the classes on time, even if it is done in the class. And then when I'm approaching them, they are very careless and they are very lethargic, not completing the classes on time, which in turn is not able to, find time for them to learn. So even if today is the exam, the before they are sitting and writing the classes. So in that case, how can we make the children to complete those kind of works on time, and then we can uh, drag them into the learning time. So I
Uh,
don't know how to make them so, because they are not at all showing any interest to complete. That's why. So I'm facing it very difficult.
right, ma'am. So, again, ma'am, building that expectation is very, very important. Telling at the every beginning of the class, start small, ma'am. Now we know that children are facing difficulties, and I do understand you'll have portions also to finish off. So
Yes.
starting small may be very difficult, but
Yes.
try initially try as a sample for a month. Start small. Give only one sum every 15 minutes, or before the period starts.
Mm.
Before the period starts, plan your entire class and share it with them. See, I have 40 minutes with you, and in these 40 minutes, I'm going to take 20, no, like how many ever, like 10 minutes or 15 minutes each for one sum. I am going to take 10 minutes to explain this. In these 10 minutes, let us, copy from the board, and we'll move on to the next question. So like that, if you break the task into micro tasks in the classroom, it's easier for them to follow. Try this, man. This will work for them because they will have predictability and they will know where they're lagging behind, and they will only come back to you and ask help, like, ma'am, this is where I was stuck. Ma'am, this is where I needed help.
Okay. Okay, ma'am. And one more question, ma'am. And when it comes to the children who are planning to attend the board examination, so far I've been seeing children for this year. actually they are having the thoughts prayer, like I know this sum very well, no revision is needed for to learn that particular topic, I know this already. But when they are coming to attend that kind of problems from that particular topic, obviously they are making mistakes, and I'm clearly saying that no, you are lagging somewhere, try to do writing practice or do it in a rough notebook for practicing the sums. And children are not ready to do that, they are just saying that ma'am, I just saw the sum but I didn't practice. So those kind of children, how can I make them to practice at home? So what kind of advice I can give for them?
Ma'am, for students who are planning to attend board exam, give them five sums every day to solve. That's the only way. And
Okay.
have separate discussions. Like if you have a free period or if you have an extra period with them, call them to your call them to a classroom, or have a
Yes.
separate meeting with them and hold them accountable. Ma'am, that's the only way to go forward.
Yes.
Keep asking.
Okay. Finally, I'll try to find some way to hold them, ma'am, actually. So that's
Yeah, give five sums every day and ask them to solve it and bring it to class. If they have not, if they haven't done it, tell them how are you going to solve in the exam when you're unable to solve here. And
okay.
you're my students. I have this basic expectation for you to solve. I'm sure you can solve it. Tomorrow, please, bring it without fail. Like in a positive direction, just keep reminding them,
Yes.
because at home they get overwhelmed because parents are also nagging at them,
Yeah,
other
yeah,
teachers are
definitely.
nagging at them, so they don't know what to
Obviously, they are doing it. Yes.
they kind of get overwhelmed and start slacking off somewhere. And
Yes.
most students have animosity with mathematics, so
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
let
Yes,
it
ma'am.
start
Thank you for the thoughts. Yes. Yes, ma'am. I'll find the way to make them. Thank you for your informative session, ma'am. Thank you.
thank you, ma'am. Are there any other questions? Okay, thank you everybody for a nice session and thank you for participating. I'll be here till the end if anyone has any questions.